Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Aisyah binti Zailani. My supervisor for this research is Dr. Siti Shara and my co-supervisor are Dr. Syam and Cik Faiza. So, I will present my proposal with the title, The Antibiotic Resistance Profiles of Bacterial Strains Isolated from Selected Catfish Breeding Point at Sungai Kesang, Melaka. This is the contents of the proposal presentation. Okay, for introduction, basically rivers have provided a basis for socio-economic growth as it contains water for supply to human beings. For example, as you can see here, rivers have provided water for agriculture, domestic, industrial, power production, navigation, fishery resource, and so on. In Malaysia, there are 2,986 river basins as cited by Jabatan Pengairan dan Saliran Negeri Selangor, and Sungai Kesang is one of the rivers in Peninsular Malaysia that have semi-commercial catfish pond farm located nearby the river. So, from this catfish pond, it contributes to the aquaculture production in Malaysia, which is about 0.4 million tons in 2018, in which can be still considered high. However, aquatic environment is more supportive to pathogenic bacteria than the terrestrial environment, allowing the pathogen to reach high densities around the fishes, which then ingest them or contaminate the fishes during harvesting. As cited by Rosalkas et al. In 2018, the effluents of majority of the aquaculture activities along the river did not undergo any additional treatment. This will cause a global public health due to the emergence of resistance to antimicrobial agents against bacterial pathogens. Also, American Society of Microbiology have found that most of the antibiotics used in animals are the same classes as in antibiotics used in humans. Therefore, this cross-resistance is one of the concerns related to foodborne pathogens. To make it more understandable, I show you the figure of the antimicrobial resistance, AMR, along the food chain. As you can see from the top, the antimicrobial or the antibiotic is given to the fishes through food. The drug-resistant bacteria will develop in the fishes. The bacteria can be spread to the environment through the pond and along the river. Finally, it will arrive to the consumer who will eat the fishes and drink the water from the river. The consumer will get infection and can be severe if there is no antibiotic left that can treat the infection anymore. Alright, for literature review, in Kelantan, it has been found that in African catfish, all of the Salmonella isolates were susceptible to the Trimotopim. It means that the pathogen, which is the Salmonella, can be killed by antibiotic Trimotopim. So this is the proof that Trimotopim is the antibiotic that can kill all the Salmonella species despite having resistance to it. There are also another study shows multiple antibiotic resistance, which is conducted in Ghana by Agoba et al. In 2018. It is found that almost 90% of bacterial isolates taken from the fish and water samples exhibit resistance towards 3 or more antibiotics. So this study concludes that the bacterial isolates have showed multiple resistance, even though there is no recent history of antibiotic use in the area of the study. Alright, same from the previous one, there are more than 60% of the bacterial isolates taken from leaf catfish in Nigeria were resistant to antibiotic augmentin, cefuroxime, ceftazidime, and cefotaxime. So it shows multiple antibiotic resistance. Next is about MAR index, multiple antibiotic resistant index. In this study from Davis and Brown, it shows that most of the isolates had MAR indices more than 0.25, and if the MAR index is more than 0.2, the bacterial isolates can be concluded has high use of antibiotic. The last one for the literature review is about the alternatives in aquaculture instead of using antibiotic. So this study suggests that probiotic bacteria are beneficial microorganisms as a replacement for antibiotics, which possess no adverse effects both to the target fish species and humans. Okay, justification. The combination of the antibiotics used in medication as well as in aquaculture practices may lose their efficacy over the next few years, leading to the presence of resistant bacterial strains. Lack of data on the spread of antibiotic resistance from aquaculture farm could lead to the false targeted measure to efficiently reduce the contaminants. Therefore, this study will provide understanding and more knowledge regarding antibiotic resistance in order to improve infection prevention and control the use of antibiotics in Malaysia. Research question. What is the antibiotic resistance profiles of bacterial strains isolated from selected catfish breeding point in Sungai Kesang, Melaka? General objective, to determine the antibiotic resistance profiles of bacterial strains isolated from selected catfish breeding point in Sungai Kesang, Melaka. For the specific objectives, there are 3 objectives. First, to determine antibiotic resistance of isolated pathogenic bacteria from Sungai Kesang, Melaka against selected antibiotics. Second, to determine antibiotic resistance pattern of isolated pathogenic bacteria against selected antibiotics. Third, to determine the multiple antibiotic resistance MAR index of isolated pathogenic bacteria against selected antibiotics. Hypothesis: the bacterial strains isolated from selected catfish breeding point in Sungai Kesang, Melaka are resistant to the selected antibiotic. Next, for the research flowchart, the sample is the isolated bacteria at -10 degrees Celsius will be taken and it will be tested with the distillation procedure. Then the result from the distillation procedure will be used to calculate the MAR index. Okay, move on to the methodology. The design for this research is experimental study. The sample has been taken in 2018 from previous study at Sungai Kesang and has been kept in glycerol stock at -20 degrees Celsius. There are 31 species of pathogenic bacterial strain isolated from the previous study, so the total of isolates to be tested are 35 strains. There are 6 types of selected antibiotics for this research. The laboratory method is the Kribbe-Bauer distillation method. So this is the list of bacterial strains identified from the previous study and will be tested. And this is the list of selected antibiotics. The antibiotics are ampicillin, ciprofloxacin, erythromycin, oxytetracycline, trimethoprim, and trimethoprim sulfamethoxazole. Now for the distillation method. The antibiotic discs will be placed equidistant from each other on the inoculated plate with a sterile forceps. Then each disc will be touched gently with a sterile forceps. After incubation for about 18 to 24 hours, the diameter of the inhibition zone will be measured with a ruler. So this is the example of the results of after incubation. As you can see, the circle around the disc represents the inhibition zone that will be measured. Next, the measurement of the inhibition zone will be based on Clinical and Laboratory Standards Institute (CLSI) guidelines. So there are 3 interpretations based on the guidelines, which are resistant, intermediate, and susceptible. Resistant means that the antibiotic cannot be used to fight against the bacteria. Intermediate means that the antibiotic also cannot be used, but if the dose is increased, the antibiotic can be used to fight against the bacteria. Lastly, susceptible means the antibiotic can be used to fight against the bacteria. Now, for the MAR index procedure. The result from the distribution will be used to calculate the multiple antibiotic resistance index. So this is the formula. From this formula, MAR index, X means the total of antibiotic resistance case, Y is total of antibiotics used in study, Z means total isolates. So the calculation will result as whether it is less than 0.2 means that the antibiotic use is in low dose, or it is higher than 0.2 means that there is high dose of antibiotic use. Data analysis for all of the objectives in this research will be descriptive analysis. This is the Gantt chart. For the acknowledgements, this research is supported financially by University Pendidikan Undergrad number GUP 2017-044. And lastly, this is the references for the proposal presentation. That's all from me. Thank you.